Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this special edition of Sports Bytes. We have a very special guest. We're actually in the press of royalty. But before we get to him, I want to introduce my co-host for tonight. Who else but my favorite Rica baby Dynamite Aquino?
Hi, hello everybody. Hello to all our viewers. I'm so excited today. Actually, I feel like I'm gonna learn a lot from our guest today. So very excited. Direct.
Yeah. Actually, I've been hearing a lot. Mostly, I haven't really talked to him. I've gotten the fights. Seen the fights, but tonight we're gonna find out the main man behind them. Everyone, please welcome Sir Mohammed Shahid of Brave Combat Federation.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Sir, thank you so much for gracing us. Actually, when they informed me if you like to interview, I immediately said yes because I really wanna talk to you and learn more about Brave.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure. It's always the Philippines have been a country that we've always looked into. We've done an event in Philippines. Brave has come there to Philippines in the early stages as well, especially when people thought that we are not going to be global. We proved them wrong, and Philippines was more hospitable than we could ever imagine. It was like doing an event in our home country itself.
Sir, you talked about the Philippines. I mean, what can you say about the fighters that are coming here from the Philippines right now? I know you have a few. Before I get to one person, one name, I'd like to get your thoughts on the Philippines brand of mixed martial arts.
I mean, see, one of the challenges is we cannot point out mixed martial arts in one country because we know that mixed martial art around the world has a problem. And this is where His Highness Sheikh Khalid bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the Prince of Bahrain, how he invented a Brave Combat Federation and founded Brave Combat Federation is not to compete with other promotions or other brands. The idea of Brave Combat Federation, the vision behind it was how can we change the sport of mixed martial art and give opportunity to these athletes from anywhere around the world, regardless of race, color, nationality, or even marketability. So today, if you look at an athlete, you will see our talents from Philippines or from Bahrain or from India or from Brazil, any part of the world, you will see them focused more on trash talking and being cool and marketable than actually training, in the gym. So you think you're like, where's your skills? Your skills are more in your mouth and then in your hands, So, but this is the challenge we have, but it's not their fault. It is not their fault. The fault is the system of mixed martial art today. We believe that they're in the event business and not in the sports business. So you can make a fight between Conor McGregor and Khabib, the biggest fight, or you can make a fight between Shakira and Beyonce, and it's still going to be the same because you're going to be selling tickets and sponsorship because it's an event business. The day it will become a sports business is when that sports can give opportunity to athletes around the world. So if you look at Brave Combat Federation, that's the first thing we did. We traveled in our 5 years short, young time. We've traveled to 25 countries in 5 continents, making us the most global MMA promotion in the world today that exists. And in Asia, we are the only promotion that has traveled to South Asia, Southeast Asia, West Asia, and Central Asia. Nobody else ever in the Asian promotion of MMA has done that. So why did we do that? To give the same message that we are going to create a system. It's not out yet, but in future, we are going to be that brand that's going to take the weight of mixed martial art on our shoulder and go out there and create opportunity to athletes around the world. So if you saw us in Philippines, that definitely means that there is a huge amount of talent in Philippines that's out there. We haven't even scratched the surface of the talent in Philippines yet that people have not even known. So we are there because show that there is talent there and they have to be introduced to the world. And that's what we did with a lot of fighters in Philippines, to introduce them to the rest of the world before we even bring them back to Philippines and give them back to the Philippines fans itself. We thought the rest of the world should know what these talents are.
Well, you're talking about the Philippines right now. There's one name that comes to mind. I won't beat around the bush. Rolando G. I mean, can you give us your comments on his last fight?
I mean, if you look at Rolando D, he is, it's fighters. Fighters are always different ball game. You can't compare fighters to any other athletes in the world because these are I'm specifically talking about mixed martial art fighters compared to any other combat sports event, because mixed martial art athletes are athletes that are always in stress, because you're talking about a sport that has 6, 7, 8, 9 different martial arts involved in it. So you're never going to go into the fight confident, because you might be the greatest boxer in the world, but you're going to be fighting and losing in the first minute because you don't even know how to wrestle. And or you might be the greatest Olympic gold medalist wrestler, and then the guy's going to get you into a submission on the ground and choke you out. Or you might be an ADCC world champion in jiu-jitsu, but you're never going to get the other boxer on the ground because he's going to be jabbing you and moving. So this is what you have to deal with as an MMA fighter. You have to be good at everything. You're always questioning the other person's talent. It is a human chess. So you're never going to see that level of consistency in a fighter. But we as fans, you and me, we always expect that undefeated fighter, and we don't want him to be defeated. We always want him to win. And that's the challenge we face in some of the countries as well. So if you look at Rolando D, amazing guy. He has showcased that he's one of the top fighters in the world. If you look at his career with Brave as well, he's had a great run when he's fought John Bruin. Nobody realized how good John Bruin was, or it still is. He's number one lightweight in from the Oceanias and New Zealand. I mean, nobody's gonna till today. He was a title contender, and then the fight he lost after that is with today's title contender, who's going to be competing for the title in the coming events, so Kubanic from Kyrgyzstan. So that's the loss he had. And then with the fight he had with Slobodan, which was in Serbia, in his opponent's hometown. If you look at Rolando D, he's had a very close fight. It was a very close fight. If they said Rolando D won, I have no problem. If they say Slobodan won, I have no problem, because it was a thin line between that fight. It was exciting, but that's mixed martial art. You're always going to go up and down. You're always going to have takedowns coming in. You might be the better fighter. You might be hitting him more. You might see under the fight, you might see your opponent bleeding more. But then you look who won. He won the fight, but looks like you won the fight because he's bleeding more. But that's mixed martial art. In the end of the day, it's human chess, the most toughest sport in the world. But at the same time, in terms of making an athlete, there's no tougher athlete than mixed martial art athlete, and that's the challenge they have to go through. And Rolando D, if you think about it, he's as tough as it comes. He's the highest level of athletes that can be there, and he's showcased that when he traveled to Serbia to fight with the Serbian national hero in his home country. And he traveled, I don't know, he had a very long flight because of the COVID restrictions, which we were talking about before as well, that he couldn't travel to Indonesia because of COVID restrictions and quarantine. So he had to fly all the way to Dubai, get his visa from Dubai, and then take another flight after a day or so and fly to Serbia. So he had a long flight. But that's where what you need in mixed martial art. What he's showing is a true mentality that I've seen in all Philippines fighters in Brave. Is I don't care. There's no excuses. I'm tough. Take me to any part of the world. Make me fight anywhere with anybody. I'm going to go out there and perform and put a show on, and I'm going to give my best, And that's the mentality that I love about Rolando D, and he's always been that. But that's also representing his country and how the fighters that's going to be coming out of his countries are.
So what is his status? I mean, I've been hearing, I don't know if it's true. Is it true that he's retiring from the fight after that?
I as a promoter, I don't think so. I don't think he's going to be retiring because there's so much left to give from him. Mm-hmm. That I always say that losing a football match is okay because somebody's going to score more goals than you. And that's how you lose a football match. But when you lose a mixed martial art fight, it's different. It's a competition. It's somebody's outmaneuvering you, somebody's outpowering you, or somebody is somehow considered as a better athlete than you, physically and mentally. So it always gets back to you in terms of mental side of it. You feel a little bit depressed. You feel a little bit down, not a little bit, a lot down. So you have to pick yourself back up. So you see that reaction from a lot of athletes. I see Rolando after the fight, and it's COVID time. We're all frustrated, So to get that amount of fights, why am I not getting fights? I can't go and train. My gyms are not working properly. They're asking us not to gather more than 5. So you have a lot of things that affects you in the last 2 years, and we're all frustrated. So when you're not going to get that fight, you're not seeing your career move forward. You're like, I think I'm done maybe. And then you get a fight. You go and you don't make in that fight, you lose the fight, you're always going to feel like that's it, I'm done. There's nothing, I'm not going to go through this again. So you get that feeling, but it takes some time. You need to go back. You need to sit down with the people you love. You need to talk to them, and you need to understand, and they need to tell you that, listen, calm down, it's fine. Give it a few days, give it a week, give it a few weeks, even give it a month. It doesn't matter. And think again, do you really love doing this, or your love for the sport is over? When your love for the sport is over, I think you should hang it up, you should not fight anymore. But I don't think Rolando D is done yet. I think he has a great team behind him. I think he has a great coach behind him, a great management behind him, his family behind him, and he's not done yet. He has a lot more to give. The inconsistency that he's seeing is what Brave Combat Federation is all about. You're seeing the best fighters in the world compete against each other in Brave. So it's not going to be an easy ride, but you have to get back and get your mind right. If you're going to go and continue competing, I'm sure that you have to change a few things in your training and make sure that you stay consistent. But his lack of consistency is more with everybody's lack of consistency. 2020 and 2021 is where you couldn't train like an athlete, as a professional athlete, consistently anyways. So you see a lot of guys dropping up and down, and that's normal. But I don't think he's done yet. He's going to come back for sure.
Rica, would you like to add anything, or you have anything to ask to Sir Shahid?
Yeah. My question is actually not related to Rolando D, but related to the Philippines and other parts of Asia, actually. Well, Brave is impressive in that you have reached 40 nations or more probably now, and you are located in 5 continents. What are your plans for other parts of Asia? Do you plan to acquire talent in other countries that you haven't reached before?
Oh, yes, for sure. I mean, if you look at Asian region, we have some of the best talents from Central Asia, whether it's Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan. We have some of the top talents there. But then you look at South Asia as well. You look at Pakistan and India, some of the best talents from Pakistan and India. You look at Mahmoud Raza or Muhammad Farhad. They are already with us, and we have presence in these countries in terms of consistently doing events. So we've done event even last year in Kazakhstan. Of course, this year we are having a huge plan with India and Pakistan. But then you look at Korea, we've already done in Jan a Road to Brave in Korea, which is a scouting program for the best talents out there. And our next step is 2 countries, which are also equally important, is China and Japan. So we are having a big plan for Japan and China for this year in terms of scouting talents. We have already created a team in China. We've already created a team in Japan. And we are, the team has already started working on not only, and our goal is not just taking talent. Our goal is creating an ecosystem. So when we talk about Philippines or we talk about any countries, our goal is to create an ecosystem where there's a sports economic structure, there is a grassroots development program for the young talents to an amateur level, to strengthen the national federation, to give exposure to the fighters internationally, to bring international events to the country, and to create a model, a business model that we can bring the private sector and the government on board to benefit from and develop the sport of mixed martial country. So it's a 6-point strategy that we are applying, which creates, and that's why we say Brave is not a promotion, it's a national project. So we go and create a national project out of it. So we have to establish a team. They're scouting talents, they're working on bringing private sectors on board. We are collaborating with the National Federation and bringing events to the country. So all that is being worked in so many Asian countries. And that's the result we see in South Korea now. You see that we did the Road to Brave, and that's a beginning of leading to the Brave event happening. And Japan is the same story. In China, we've already started our offices and team, so they're already starting to work. Indonesia, we have a very strong team there, which we are going to be having a conversation next week on creating a roadmap for broadcasting rights, reality show, where we're going to bring a lot of athletes, even from the neighboring countries like Philippines, to be part of the reality show. So we have a reality show lined up. We have an event lined up in Indonesia this year. We have a Road to Brave lined up for Indonesia this year. So all that is in talks. But again, fingers crossed, if COVID allows us to, that's the most challenging. But we have a big plan in Asia. And of course, West Asia is our home. So you can imagine, if you look at Bahrain, UAE, and Saudi Arabia, we've always been consistently doing events there. And we are going to continue to do that. So I think it's going to be the Combat Week in Bahrain itself is going to be the biggest mixed martial art event for the West Asian region, So we really have Asia A to Z with Brave. and we have the largest market share in this continent. And that's something that a lot of promotion keeps talking about, saying that we have the largest market share. And I just tell them that, listen, our media and our public are not idiots. We have gone to school too. We have learned geography. We know what Asia is. Asia is West Asia, Central Asia, South Asia, and Southeast Asia. Let's not misunderstand that.
Mhm. Wow. So that's actually amazing. I'm interested in what you said about creating an ecosystem. Has there ever been a country that you think is underdeveloped in terms of their handling their MMA community, but has a lot of potential? And do you plan to like be an instrument to develop their community or their grassroots program?
Oh, 100%. I think 80% of the world is today having a lot of MMA talent. And that's the beauty of mixed martial art. There is no sport in the world that has grown as fast as mixed martial art. The fastest growing sport in the world, the largest valuation growth in any company, 1.2 million to 4.3 billion in 15 years is the largest turnover in the history of sport. So if you look at valuation growth, fan base growth, globalization, not even the soccer or football has grown as global as mixed martial arts. So that's the sport we're talking about. But the problem is they don't have a proper format, like you mentioned clearly, that helps the athletes to get the opportunity, create an ecosystem. So that's why we come in and we looked at the market, and 80 to 90% is suffering. And that's why we traveled around the world. If you look at Africa, who can argue that African continent does not have sports talent? Come on. You look at the
We have a lot of champions from Africa, right?
Of course, in any sport, you look at the France team that won the World Cup is 80% from African descent, So you look at everything, Africa has a top talent, and then no event has gone to Africa.
Mhm.
No international event has taken African talent globally as much as we have done. So we are the first ones to go into South Africa and North Africa to cover the continent and do events on ground, create a long-term strategy, help amateur athletes, help the professional athletes, take them internationally, also bring in international athletes to the country and create an ecosystem for long term. We've established our office there. We've given broadcasting rights there. We've conducted 2 events in South Africa already. We're looking at our 3rd event this year. Again, Africa is not the best place at this point with the COVID situation going on, so that there's lockdown and stuff. But we've done that for Africa. First promotion to ever go, international promotion to go into African continent is us. First promotion to actually go into Colombia was us, because there's a lot of talent in Colombia, but didn't really happen in terms of supporting them. West Asia, Arab countries, unbelievable amount of talent here. We see that today with what we have done for this talent, and you see them going internationally and competing in other promotions as well and showcasing that quality. We've shown that for Philippines as well. If you look at a fighter called Stefan Lohman, who was with Brave years ago, till today in the Philippines history, the longest reigning world champion at bantamweight division is Stefan Lohman till date. That's your history books. It's a legacy. But where did he get that legacy from? Brave Combat Federation. And that's the platform we want to create, that we know you could be the longest reigning bantamweight in the world. And you need a platform. That's all you need. And we've showcased that in many countries, whether it's Africa, whether it's South America, whether it's Mexico, whether it's Arab countries. But at the same time, even going into Asian region, I think that there is a huge opportunity, not only in Asia, but you look at the European continent, 2021, there is no European event. The European fighters have so much talent. Now you look at Gamzat Chimaev, Ilya Topuria, Guram, so many of the fighters that became superstars, global stars, came from Brave Combat Federation at 1-0 or 2-0. And that's because what we have done in terms of going into European countries, whether it's Belarus, whether it's Italy, whether it's Croatia, Serbia, we've made the talents and developed the sport in these countries. And I think we are global, not just to speak about it, but it's about, like I said, to create that ecosystem. And it's not done yet. It's just the beginning, because we've really not established it in each country. We've only put the seed now. It's time to put some water on the seed, plant it up and turn it into an actual garden.
Wow, that's very impressive. Actually, what I'm seeing from this is you're not only concerned about the fighter as an individual, but for a fighter to thrive and to grow, he needs an ecosystem. And for you to create an ecosystem, you need to plant seeds, and that takes a lot of time. How do you find the patience? How do you find the grit to actually pull this through? Because this is an arduous task. I can understand, especially for you. But where do you find that? Where do you, or is it because you are a fighter yourself?
And maybe a little bit of that for sure, definitely, because we get a little bit romantic to mixed martial art, because if you look at the history of where we come from, I always tell people that mixed martial art is a sport that we don't have to be involved in. If you look at our founder, His Highness Sheikh Khalid bin Hamad Al Khalifa, who's the Prince of Bahrain, son of the King, head of the General Sports Authority, president of the Bahrain Olympic Committee, and commander of the Royal Guard. If you look at His Highness and the sports he's involved in and the amount of things that is involved in, we look at it and say, why mixed martial art? And if you look at the history of Bahrain and the sports history, you will understand where we come from. We are the innovation. We are the country that has been always the first and innovative in the region for sports. The first country to ever bring F1 into the region was Bahrain. The first one to ever bring Ironman or triathlon event into the region was Bahrain. If you look at the team side of it, the first team to ever compete in Tour de France was Bahrain Merida or Bahrain McLaren. And if you look at regulatory positions, Sheikh Salman bin Ibrahim is the head of executive president, vice president for FIFA, president for Asian Football Confederation. His Highness Sheikh Khalid, who's the founder, is the head of General Sports Authority. So if you look at all areas of sports, we are there. And if you look at the investment into sports, football, we have invested in Cordoba, CF in Spain. We have Paris FC 20%. We have, let's say, Khaldia Football Club in our own country, horse racing, we have KHK racing, KHK boxing. It's unbelievable how many sports we are invested in. And when you look from that perspective and you look at mixed martial art, you're like, why mixed martial art? You could have stuck with horse racing and, football. It sounds nice, but we are, like I said, you are right. It is because I was a fighter maybe, and because His Highness was competing as well himself. So we both of us have this, we were romantic to mixed martial art a little bit for sure. And we looked at it and we said, if we have the experience of other sports, from regulation, hosting event, to investing in sports and creating sports media property, let's take all that experience and give it on a golden plate to mixed martial art for free. Let that change its model to the sports industry. So that's what we started doing, and we introduced that model. So the first thing to do was to make the regulation authority, like FIFA. You need to have a regulatory authority in mixed martial art, which is called the International Mixed Martial Art Federation. So we took International Mixed Martial Art Federation in 2016 outside of Vegas because they were not getting any benefits hosting the event with UFC Fight Week. And we brought it to Bahrain and made them work with us 17, 18, and 19 with Brave International Combat Week, making those 3 world championships, MMA World Amateur World Championships, the greatest world championship, the biggest world championship, not only in MMA, but in combat sports history. You can compare it to the Wrestling World Championship, you can compare it to the Boxing World Championship, and you will know that the MMA World Championship was beyond anything else. Extravagance, concerts, festival. So 3 years of madness, at Brave International Combat Week, which was important for taking the level of the federation high, because we need a strong regulatory authority. And today you see countries hosting the International IMMAF World Championship now in Abu Dhabi. But we took a step ahead and we created the biggest amateur MMA competition called the MMA Super Cup, which is going to be held in Bahrain in March for the first time. This is the actual power of the regulatory body, because this MMA Super Cup is selecting top 6 countries that are based on the ranking of the International Amateur World Federation. And we tell them, bring your best 9 fighters to compete against each other in a format that is easy for people to understand. And they say, but the fighters need to register. No registration fee. We take care of their flights, we take care of their accommodation, 0 expenses. All you have to do is find your best fighters in your country, the best you can find, and bring them. We take care of all the expenses. And for the first time in the history of amateur mixed martial art or combat sports, the International Federation event is going to be paying money to the national federations. So now the national federation is going to get $100,000 for the winning team, $75,000 for the second place, and $50,000 for the third place, which will allow them to reinvest that back into the development of MMA in their own country. The challenge has been, unlike FIFA or ICC cricket, you don't get international federation giving money to the national federations in combat sports history. You know, that's been the challenge. You look at the national federations, they're always poor. We are changing that by actually funding and giving them an opportunity to make money through competition where they have zero cost. Bring your best fighter, compete, take the money back home, you know, and make sure that you invest it back in development. So that's MMA Super Cup. So we already changed the regulation side of it. And then Brave is globalizing on the other side. And what is the future? We're going to combine these two together to create a strong regulation which can strengthen the national federations, transition from that national federation amateur to a global promotion, and which that promotion will create a league model like Bundesliga, La Liga, football, NFL, NBA, a league model which we announced last year called Brave National League, that each country will have, so they can create their own stars, make money at a monthly level like any other athletes are out there, and create a national interest by buying teams. The private sectors are going to be involved. And when the regulation is controlling all that revenue, government is already involved. It is an ecosystem from the international federation, national federation, league model to globalizing, connecting the global world, which creates your country to be connected with other countries as well. And actually, we're going to be creating a sports structure, a new sports structure in combat sports. We have never seen that kind of change in any sports model in the past 100 years. We've never seen that big of a change. So this is going to be a historic moment for sports, not just for MMA, but then we are going to see MMA actually move into the sports business rather than the event business.
Wow. So wow, that's amazing to hear. And actually that is real change. That is change happens not only from the outside, but from the inside. I couldn't have heard it better from you. Thank you so much, sir. Brian, maybe you have questions. I need the moment to digest all of that information, but that I've learned a lot of things, and I'm trying to process
Definitely.
all the information.
Yeah, it's not easy. That's why we call this year 2022 as a year of change. We call it the year of change because this is when we are going to be introducing the change, and then the change should be implemented. It will take 3 to 5 years, you know, although that is less time, but it will take that much time. But we have to make it happen, you know. Otherwise, we are going to be following the boxing model, and the boxing model has already proven to be dead. You know, it's not a real business model. And we, as combat sports, we look at boxing as our go-to guy, you know, and we think that's the business model we need to follow, or the WWE model we have to follow. But it's two models that we know. And mixed martial art took a little bit from boxing, a little bit from WWE, and combined it together, but it's not done yet. That's why we say that today, UFC has done a great job for mixed martial art, making it so famous internationally, 100%, but it's time for change. The year of change has come, and we are here to change the sport because we can't rely on the event business anymore. So, you know, it's high time that I always give an example that there's once upon a time, we had a mobile called Nokia.
Mm-hmm.
Nokia brand was very famous. We were all fighting for what's the next N series. You have water drop model. You know, we were all fighting for what do you have? And then one fine day, we got up in the morning and we forgot about Nokia, like it never existed. And we are all on this thing, which might be an iPhone or Samsung. And Samsung, that's a fridge company. What are you doing today with mobiles? You know, what happened? How did that change suddenly take place overnight? It was not that Samsung or iPhone competed with Nokia. They could never have competed with Nokia. What they did was they bought a new system called smartphones. So the smartphone was a new system, and the people who couldn't adapt to the new system was forgotten. So today, the mixed martial art business is Nokia and Brave is Apple. That's the only difference.
Wow. That's an amazing metaphor. Actually, that's so clear. I can see that clearly, and I'm actually excited to see that come into fruition. Right, Brian?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot. I can see it. I mean, I've been updated constantly about Brave, what's happening right now, and I'm really I didn't know that it was this big. I mean, the plans you have, considering it's still in this pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
I mean, isn't that a challenge in your development, these things?
100%. I mean, it is a challenge, you know, and especially because it was we were only founded. We started this whole initiative in 2016, September. So all we had was 17, 18, and 19. We globalized, we traveled around the world, and suddenly COVID hit all of us. And then we were looking at it, we were like, we could have stopped. If you look at one championship, if you look at PFL, if you look at KSW, so many events, so-called big events, didn't seem very big anymore, you know. They all stopped and went to their homes and locked the doors, you know. And then we were like, you know, we could also do that, but we are 3 years old and we will be forgotten. And the costs that we are fighting for, the bigger costs that we're not fighting for making revenue for our company. We are not fighting to make, we don't need to make that revenue. His Highness Sheikh Khalid does not, the last priority in his list is to make money from the company. It's to give back and fight for that cost. That's the goal. So if we stop now during pandemic, it's going to be a challenge. And we're going to be 5 years behind or 3 years behind easily for fighting for that cause. So we have to keep moving. And 2020, we took our break. We went, and luckily, like I said, our experience is not MMA. Our experience behind us is a sporting experience. So we understood the FIFA's regulation for COVID. We understood the National Task Force of the country's regulation for COVID. Bahrain has been one of the strongest countries to deal with COVID. Not from my words, it's the words from the director of WHO. You know, so we had the best lessons we could take from our National Task Force, what they have done for the country. And then we took the examples from other sporting organizations like FIFA and so on. We combined them together and created one of the strongest COVID policies for an event that ever existed today. And we've been sharing that with a lot of other events as well, because it's become a case study. And we didn't try that in Bahrain. We started in Bahrain, and then we tried to implement that in other countries in 2020. And it was a major success, the COVID policy. And we were able to continue that journey of traveling again. So we could have done our events all in Bahrain, but we said that it wouldn't serve the purpose, because we were talking about globalizing. We were talking about changing other countries. We were talking about uniting the world. And why would we stay in Bahrain for 2 years if our first year in 2016, we did an event and we traveled around the world and we came back only end of 2017 back? We can't change that now. So we continued traveling. We went to 7 European countries. We didn't stop. We introduced Brave to a new territory in Russia, and introduced ourselves to new territories in like Italy, Belarus. And we continued to do what we had to do. But it was a challenge for sure. We couldn't show that on the face. We kept our poker face really well. But there's no doubt that it was a challenge. But luckily, we had the right team behind us. We had the right country's knowledge behind us. And we had the right partners internationally as well. You know, when we are fighting for change, and we always have a saying from His Highness, Sheikh Khalid, he always keeps telling to all our team that when you are doing the right thing, you can never go wrong. Simple as that.
So before I get it, there's a question here. There's an interesting question here in the comment box. Let me read it. It's from MJ Marlon Jeff. Well, thanks to Brave, more fighters across the globe are now getting more opportunities to fight at the global stage. Much love and respect to the Hawk, Mr. Shahid, and His Highness Khalid bin Hamad Al Khalifa. Now, his question is, when do we expect to see more Filipino fighters fighting under Brave CF?
We have, like we said, we have a big plan for Asia this year, and Philippines fighters from Philippines are one of our top priorities, and that's why we were in Philippines since day one, and we were getting a lot of Philippine fighters, whether it's Stefan Loma, Jomar Park, Jeremy Pakachu, Rolando D. We had a lot of guys come in, so that was a plan from day one. We have always shown the value of Philippines fighters in Brave. And of course, the pandemic hit. Of course, things have changed slightly, but hopefully we are back. Our goal in 2022 is to sign the top talents in Philippines, definitely. So all the fighters in Philippines, all the MMA gyms in Philippines, you know, fasten your seatbelts and get ready for a crazy ride. We are coming out there and looking for the best Philippines fighters that's out there, who is ready to compete internationally, who's ready to fight against the best fighters in the world, you know, and that's what Brave is doing. What we've done with our Philippines fighters, even the top guys, have been taking them and making them international stars. You know, once they are international stars, you always have this respect for these fighters in their own country as well. And it's something that is similar in all our countries as well. We have our friend next to us, even if he's the greatest fighter, we really don't respect him because I'm seeing him every day and we're drinking coffee every day together. So I'm like, hey, not this guy, you know. But then when he goes and we have the international world talking about him, suddenly I get a respect for him from nowhere, because I saw him on BBC, I saw him on CNN, and I saw him on the biggest international world and in 5 different languages. And that's what we are creating, superstars faster than anybody else. And that's what we've been able to do for all our stars around the world. Why Brave has been known as the largest scouting program in the world and the strongest scouting program in the world is because we are able to take one athlete from a country, make him international superstar, and then bring him back to his country and say, this athlete of your country, even maybe you don't know this athlete, but this is what they talk about him internationally. This is how much fans you have internationally. And that adds a lot of value to him and creating him into a fastest superstar. But in the end of the day, like I said, we are creating a platform and opportunity, but talent is the most important thing. If you don't have talent, this is a sport you cannot do anything about. So the best fighters in Philippines, we're looking for them and we're looking to sign some of the top fighters in Philippines, all the top fighters in Philippines this year. So we are coming there with our microscopes and our scouting programs to make sure that we can get those talents, and we hope that they're ready, training, working hard, that can go and compete internationally as well. So this is a plan. We are coming in. We're not going to stop looking for Philippines fighters, and that's why we always, even though the pandemic years, Lando D was our Filipino fighter that kept competing. He was there regardless of all the challenges that we were going through. He was there for us and we were there for him to give him those fights and for him to be able to fight even in the worst pandemic situation. That is to show that our presence with Philippines is always going to be there. We're always there. We've never forgotten. Our presence is somewhere there. And this 2022, the year of change, we're going to make sure that we create a bigger change.
All right. Okay, well, I think Rica can help you direct you to some talent. Rica knows a lot.
Definitely.
Actually, she knows Stephen Loman. We talked to him before, so I was a bit surprised. Now, going back to Stephen, who's now who moved out of Brave. I mean, how big is this? I mean, there's an exodus of fighters on your end who are moving to another promotion. Has this had a big impact on Brave?
No, definitely. I mean, it's never been an impact on Brave because, like I said, there's a sport called tug of war.
Yeah.
And the tug of war is when you pull rope, one team pulls the rope to one side and the other team pulls the same rope to the other side. And that's tug of war. And what we say is, we are not playing tug of war with any promotion. We are completely on a different rope here. Mm-hmm. We are pulling a different rope because our rope is not about the competition of athletes. What we are showing, when you see our athletes, some of the top athletes, the Gamzat Chimaev, Mohammed Makayev in UFC, or Jarrah Selawi in PFL, or our Stephen Loman in one championship. So you see one thing in common is, guess what? You have the best scouting program and the best way to create a talent. If you look at any other star, how many of the stars from this promotion, they could have globalized them? Impossible. You had to create an international star in UFC and take 9 years to promote them. You have never created an international star because they're US promotions. So they can create US stars where we are following them because that's US media. In any case, we follow the US media heavily. So they become international stars, but we don't have international stars being able to be created who are not Americans that fast. They can, but not as fast as we expect them to. And that's the same thing with one championship. I mean, you don't really see global stars other than a great social media numbers. You don't really see global stars being created. You don't see athletes known internationally. And that's the challenge they're facing. But that is what one of the results Brave has shown is to be able to create international stars. You have to do the work. You can't sit home in your region and think I'm going to create international stars. You have to travel around the world. And that's a sacrifice Brave has done, is traveling around the world, taking the athlete in our handbags and going to each country and showcasing how good he's a fighter. And that's what's made the difference in us creating these athletes. But that's just an example of scouting program. So we really don't care, or it doesn't impact us when athletes are being taken away to other promotions. It just shows our scouting program. We are more focused on the ecosystem. We are globalizing, we're creating a national ecosystem. And then when we look back at it and we're like, these promotions that say that we have the largest market share, we are the biggest in this region, you should ask the same question to them that we were discussing here, is this problem of our athletes, our ecosystem not existing, our federations being poor, our athletes not getting the opportunity. We haven't even scratched the surface of talents in our country. But you were here for 9 to 10 years or 12 years. What have you done in these 12 years? Why do we need a promotion that is coming from outside to go around the world and do this? And this has been our question. This is the question we asked because we are romantic to MMA. His Highness Sheikh Khalid asked this question to himself and us. how can we change this in mixed martial art? Because if we don't change this, we will all be suffering. And you have to understand our history that we didn't want to do Brave Combat Federation. We were always happy with our team of KHK MMA, and we wanted to support athletes. So we had, in our team, we had John Kavanagh, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Islam Makhachev, Shorty Torres, a lot of top guys who are today some of the biggest, Frankie Edgar, some of the top guys in the world were part of KHK team. And that was it. When we saw what's happening in their lives, whether in Bellator or BAMAS or UFCs, we realized there is something wrong with the MMA community. There's something wrong with the MMA sports industry. And then we asked this question, and we realized that the promotions that are existing and saying we are the number one and we are the best are always sitting and looking at their balance sheet end of the year, not looking at where the sport is going or where the talent is going. Of course, their media speaks highly, but we have, when we dig in, and the questions you asked as a media company, and it's also nice to hear from a media company to ask those questions, so we don't really see people digging in and asking these questions, but that's an important question to ask. What's happened? We haven't touched the surface of our sport for this long, but you were here for 12 years. You claim to be the number one. What have you done? Just signing athletes to fight and pushing them back? Where is the development program? Where's the national federations? Where is the private sectors involved in the sports? Where is the government involved in the sports? We went to Philippines and worked directly with the president. We went to Indonesia and worked directly with the president. Why? Because we need the government support in mixed martial art, because these talents will be recognized better if government is involved. These talents will be recognized better if private sector's funding is there, because the industry gets richer. The media will make money. And the industry doesn't mean just fighters or promotion. Media is an industry. Managers are an industry. Gyms are an industry, agents are an industry, fighters, promotions are part of that industry, federation is part of the industry. So who's looking after the industry? And the industry is poor because the companies are poor, or the businesses are poor and not flourishing because the industry does not have money. Is anybody working to bring money into the industry? You don't even have a format, let alone create that strategy. So this is the rope that we are actually pulling, and we are not in the business of, oh, you have my fighter, I have your fighter. That's the high school or let's say middle school conversations in mixed martial art, and they're having those conversations internationally, and they think because they don't come from the sporting world. If you think about it, one last thing I would say as well, they are so into matchmaking. You think about it, they're like, oh, matchmaking, we have better fight, my matchmaking is better, and we are like, hold on, I'm coming from the sports world and I've never heard this word called matchmaking. Where did you get this word matchmaking from? The only time I heard matchmaking is in an arranged marriage in our communities, but other than that, I've never really heard matchmaking in sports. What is matchmaking? You have a best athlete and a best athlete. Make them compete against each other. There's no matchmaking here. The best fights against the best. The best team plays against the best team. That's always been sports. You could have a cup, you could have a national cup of league in your country, and you could have a third division team be able to play with the first team. Nobody's going to question that. Nobody's going to question that because that's the tournament. You are a part of the tournament where the best teams are there, and you have to compete with the best team, because that's otherwise leave the tournament. And that's where we've been focusing as well, is when you have the best talent scouting around the world, you make them compete against each other. And there's a lot of things in MMA that has been created, like it's been part of we grew up with it. We are in this little bubble, and we think it's about athletes going to places, but it's never been that. So that we have, are we sad that Stephen Lohman is gone? 100%. I love that kid. He's been amazing. We've taken him around the world. We've given him the greatest opportunity. We did a Philippines event just so that the country knows who Stephen Lohman is. And that was a Stephen Lohman event more than any other event. It was not a brave event. It was nothing more than that event. He deserved it. And that's what we did. I promised his mother that we would do an event in Philippines with Stephen Lohman being able to fight in his home crowd. And because I've always seen his mom travel with him for the events in Bahrain or places, I was like, we need to do this event for him. So we always had a good relationship with Stefan, and we still do have a great relationship. It's nothing, it is careers and it is life and it is sports. You go on and you move on. But for us, these are not important topics because these are small things. Athletes are we are still going around and looking for more athletes to come on board. But the bigger question is always the ecosystem. I mean, that's the question nobody's speaking about. That's the question that the big promotions are keeping their mouths shut on, and they don't want to discuss about it, because that's a question that will poke them and say, what did you do for your country? What did you do for the region? What did you do for the sport? And that's going to be challenging.
Well, I'm gonna put you in a spot right now. Is there anyone that Brave is targeting? The free agents. Is there any? Not just the Philippines. Anywhere. Are there any target you have?
I think I will tell you one thing. One of our biggest scouting programs have been the International Mixed Martial Federation. So we're always looking at what's happening at the World Championship to see, because that's an easy way to scout, because you're looking at athletes who have competed 29, 28, 20 times before turning pro. So their experience level is so high, they're still young and they know mixed martial art and they're coming in fresh. So those are some of the talents we really like looking at. And I see these are the talents that have come out of competition mentality rather than athletes who come new in and say, you know what, I'm 1-0 in pro. I'm ready to fight, but they have so much pressure because they don't have that much experience like the amateur athletes have had in IMF. And that's going to be a challenge. So we are looking at that area of the talents that we can get from them. But again, for us, we are when we look at each country, especially in 2022, our goal is to release a ranking system. So we're going to release our weight class ranking in the near future. And when the rankings are out, that's where the real competition starts, because then we're going to be looking at athletes who are able to compete with these top 10 ranked fighters, and that's where the story gets more interesting, So right now, our scouting program is nonstop because it's very intense scouting program. We have at least a 6-man team in Asia alone that are scouting athletes. We have team in Brazil, we have team in Latin America, we have 3 to 4 companies that we are working with on scouting programs, sports companies that we're working with in Europe. Middle East, of course, we have a huge HQ with over 80 people working here in Bahrain that are part of development of Middle Eastern MMA and combat sports. So we have a combat sports council as well. So there's a big engine behind this. So the scouting program is going to be something, it's a very strong program. The last fighters that we're actually going to be getting who are going to be at the top level is something. But we also give the benefit of the doubt. If you look at Brave, we've given a lot of opportunity to guys when we go to the countries to fight. We bring in the guys without going through this program to give them a shot. You never know. There are some guys that might not fit in the scouting criteria, but you never know. When you give them a chance, they just show up and surprise you. There's the same story that happened for us in Kazakhstan when a short notice fighter came in and put on an unbelievable show. And we're like, I would have never scouted this guy in 5 years. And I would have missed him because what he's done there was literally take out his heart and put on the floor, and say, that's it, it's here. And that's the kind of mentality we give. So we've given the benefit of the doubt for a lot of athletes in that way as well. But yeah, a huge list of scouting talents in 2022. But like we said, we have to see very closely as well what's happening with the pandemic. We don't want to bring in some athletes where we are not able to give them that amount of fights because they're coming from countries like Africa, maybe where they cannot travel and we cannot hold an event there. And we've signed him for an year and he's going to be stuck for an year, so we don't want to do that. So we're really being careful about what's going on now. But definitely, we have an engine to scout the top talents. And every talent that you're going to see in Brave signing in, new, you will see that these guys are going to hit the roof. They're going to be rockets flying in. When Makayev came in, 0-0, came in, few fights, bigger story today in UK history, so that's the difference what Brave can make. And that's not just because of our strength of media, but it's also what kind of athletes we sign. And we see that they're capable of doing that. We're just, it's like investing in Bitcoin early. That's what's happening here.
Rica, have any questions for Shahid?
Yeah. So, sir, you said that there was this certain fighter in Kazakhstan who surprised you with his performance. I mean, Brave has some of the best talents in MMA at present. Was there any fighter in 2021 that surprised you with his performance, who came out to be a revelation?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, 2021 was something of a struggle for everybody. But Taekyun Kim, for me, I won't forget that. Taekyun Kim is one of the athletes from Korea that again, he would not be a guy that any promotion would be really looking at, because I don't even know if he has a social media pages. You know, if he has, I think, he must be having like 50 or 100 followers. I don't know, but I could be wrong. But I'm sure that he's not a social media guy. He's not this guy you'd see outside and promoting himself. But when he comes to a fight, he puts on a show. And taking Kim, when I saw him in Brave, and we were always like, okay, he won the fight, great. Next fight is not going to be easy for him. He shows up in the next fight, his opponent is tougher, and he performs. And today, I think there is no other choice than at featherweight to give him a title shot. He deserves a title shot. He has to fight for the title, because I haven't seen a guy go out there and prove me wrong as much as he has done. And we've seen a new champion crowned in Ahmed Amir, but that's going to be a crazy lightweight division, because we have Ahmed Amir, we have Kubanich, we have Sam Patterson, we have Orlando D also in the mix, John Bruin in the mix. So it's a crazy weight class, which is, I don't know what's going to happen there, because we have a lightweight curse that nobody holds the title for defense the title after holding it, and we have it's proven right till today. So that's what's happening. But then you have a very crazy history going to take place in 2022 with Hamza Kohiji. He has been a Bahraini fighter, and he's been trying to fight for the title since 2016. And everybody was asking, okay, he's going to fight this year for the title. No, 17, no, 18, no, 19, no, 20, no, 21, no. So and people are like, what's happening? It's been so many years that he's never fought for the title. But Hamza is going to create history for the sport industry here in Bahrain, because we've never had an athlete at a professional combat sports level at that high fighting for the world championship. He's like the Manny Pacquiao of Bahrain. If he wins the title, and that's going to be a tough fight, because he's fighting with Conor McGregor's teammate, Brad Katona from SBG Gym. And that's a tough guy, very tough guy, black belt in jiu-jitsu, has a very good experience fighting in boxing and golden gloves. So that's a tough opponent. That's going to be an interesting fight, and that's something that we're looking forward as an athlete. Hamza Kohiji, he's shocked me from his performances in the previous years. So let's see how this opportunity, because everybody has shocked me. I've given them their due, and they're going to be fighting for the title. So now it's time for you to take the fruit out of what you have, or what you can. But then, remember this name, Murtaza Talha. Murtaza Talha is a middleweight fighter in Brave Combat Federation. I think he's only 3-0 now. We took him from 0-0. And I have a feeling nobody is ever going to be able to beat this kid. I have this feeling, because I've never seen a weakness in this guy. I've not seen him bad at wrestling, bad at striking, punching power like taking a sledgehammer and hitting your head. And he's good at everything, amazing cardio and good IQ, and also a charismatic personality, So if there is a superstar you can think of in the next 3-4 years, an international superstar like Gamzat Chimaev and Mohammed Makayev and all the guys that we've created, that's going to be Murtaza Talha. He has that quality. He has a talent. He has everything that is needed to be a great star. But again, it's mixed martial art. It's a matter of punch. It's a matter of a kick, and you could everything could go away in a fight, and that's what's exciting about this. So I'm looking forward to seeing Murtaza Talha 2022 and seeing what he's going to be able to do and where he's going to go from where he is already today. So there's a lot of guys, but I think we're going to see Taehyung Kim fight for the title. That's going to be huge for Korean mixed martial art. We're going to see Hamza Kohiji fight for the title, which we announced for March. We're going to see Murtaza Talha get back, and remember that name, because that's going to be huge. That's going to be something big. But then we have the lightweight division, which is a mess. Which is always a curse. Nobody's going to hold the title. And that's why I tell Orlando D that he's always going to jump back into the title shot, because that weight class is top guys, A to Z. And don't forget, we have the toughest flyweight division in the world ever. And the tournament finals is what we're all waiting for, because the flyweight division, we're talking about the best flyweights in the world. Veli Murad, Ali Bogotinov, Dustin Ortiz, Zach Makowski, Abdul Hussein, Shorty Torres. And Shorty Torres is moving into bantamweight division, which means the title winner, whoever wins the title, whether it's Hamza Kohiji or his opponent, whoever wins the title, there's going to be a problem because Shorty Torres is right behind them, and we have Gamzat from Dagestan, who's also a top bantamweight fighter. He's out there. He beat Mohammed Machayev, who was 10-0 from Sweden, who was considered looking forward to be the next Gamzat Chimaev, to be the next big superstar. But when we saw him lose against Gamzat, we know that Gamzat is going to be also superstar. So, Brave has some crazy talents, Rica. I mean, it's unbelievable. I can go on. I would bore you and put you to sleep if you let me, because that's how much top talents are there. And I'm just taking it out of my head. And it's just crazy. The more I talk, the more I'm discovering, I forgot about this guy. I forgot about that guy, So much talents from all around the world, but that's the beauty, It's just that unbelievable amount of talents. And all of these guys that I mentioned, the names are all going to be superstars. I have no doubt about that. It's just not because they're in my promotion, because everybody else you will see want to take them away from our promotion as well, because these guys are really the best fighters in the world.
Mm-hmm. Wow, amazing. I'm going to be looking forward to that March 11 Brave CF57. Are there any other fights or are there any other fighters who are fighting in that card that we should look out for?
So we have definitely a rematch between a long-awaited story of middleweight championship belt between Mohammed Fakhruddin and Mohammed Maalim. And this has been a funny situation, and I don't know how to put it, but so many things have happened between them. There is a rivalry between them that I don't know how did that happen, but they just hate each other for some reason, and the fights that goes on social media between these guys, it's just like, I don't know from where that hate comes from, but they both don't like each other for sure. And then we put them to a fight for the middleweight title. And that's shocking because Mohammed Maalim has a history to make in Algeria. And then we have Mohammed Fakhruddin, who is the most loved Middle Eastern fighter, the most famous Middle Eastern fighter. He has all the history of Middle Eastern MMA is with him. There's no Middle Eastern MMA without Mohammed Fakhruddin. So he's that person. And when you have such two legends on the verge of making history, Mohammed Fakhruddin could be the first double champ in Middle Eastern history. And Mohammed Maalim could be that guy who's the first Algerian fighter to become middleweight champion. And the two histories are there, but then where's the hatred? You are both legends, but then they hate each other. So there is history to be made. There is hatred in the story. And then we make them fight. And the fight doesn't happen. And then we're like, you know what? That's getting crazy. And then the hatred became more intense. Mohammed Maalim said things that pissed off Fakhruddin, and then the hatred became 2 levels higher. We make them fight again. Mohammed Maalim wins the fight. The drama cannot get worse. We get a call from the regulation authority. There is an appeal from Fakhruddin's team. They check the appeal. Yes, it is a no contest. They cancel the strip off the win from Maalim's. I couldn't even write a movie story if I had to this way. I would never be able to predict this. So I'm like, you know what? Come to Bahrain, finish this fight. I'm sitting back. One of you have to sort this out. We need to finish the story here. Fight, win. I hope nothing else happens. But you know what? I have a feeling that this drama doesn't end here. There's going to be something that I'm not expecting going to come in. I don't know what, but I want this fight to happen. I don't want anything to stop this fight. I hope nobody gets COVID. I hope that flights don't get canceled. I hope everything happens. They can fight in this fight, and we get to the bottom of this. So that's something we're really, and that's the co-main event of our event in Bahrain. So it's going to be an interesting event. But we're going to announce the upcoming fight cards as well in the weeks to come. There's some very interesting fights. There's some very interesting news as well along with it for Brave. So we are just making sure that everything is signed off and we are ready to make it official. But yes, it's going to be an exciting fight card. And of course, and that's going to be in between the MMA Super Cup, which is also going to make it even more exciting. And for MMA fans, it's going to be an interesting week to enjoy. It's going to be a feast for them.
Yeah. And also non-MMA fans or non-fight fans can also enjoy from this because, as you said, wow, MMA fights bring out like the best in the human condition, right? We see humans in the most dramatic situations, right? And then there's just so much emotion in there that we don't even know where they come from. So fights are kind of like a universal thing, especially here in Asia, if you will agree with me, right? we are a tradition or we are a culture of fighters.
Yes.
We are a society of fighters. Do you think that's why fighting or the sport business, as you call it, is so appealing in this region?
100%. I mean, if you look at the combat sports industry, it has always been one of the most interesting sports in the world. If you look at even Olympics level, one of the most viewed are the wrestling and the boxing competition in the Olympics. Why is that? Because there is some appeal to us that we understand it better. We don't have to understand the details of the sport, but we understand what is happening there. And this is why I keep saying that we should not only take it as a sport, but we should take combat sports and mixed martial art, these events, these stories as an educational program, because we've spoken about discussing about my being, how did I transition from a fighter to where I am today? And most of my education came from mixed martial art, how to be patient, how to be hardworking, how to not get caught up with what other people are saying, how to manage yourself. If you cannot manage yourself for 9 to 10 years and be disciplined, how are you going to manage a company of 30 people? My question for you precisely, So this is what I always ask the CEOs and CFOs. Who taught you that in the MBA school when you're taking your masters or PhDs, to be patient? Who taught you how to manage yourself in MBAs and universities? And that's what combat sports teaches us. And I think today, for me, I'm the private secretary of His Highness. I'm the advisor to the president of the Bahrain Olympic Committee. I am the president of Brave Combat Federation, CEO of KHK Sport, chairman of KHK Holding as an investment and trade company. And all of these positions that I'm having today is not because of my certificate from school. It's the self-awareness and knowledge that I got while I'm fighting. So this is, I think, you mentioned about emotions, which really touched me, because I always try to educate people the philosophy or the mindset that makes you being a fighter. And I tell everyone that in your life once, don't get me wrong, don't go and do it because I said it, but I wish that everybody had the opportunity to once in their life walk into a cage for a competition. And why I say that is because the day you do that, you will realize that when you walk into that cage, seeing a guy inside that cage who trained 3 months to beat you and is in that cage alone, and you're walking into that cage to fight him, during that walk, you have 74 emotions all at once: excitement, anxiety, sadness, happiness, all of these emotions at once. And then what you have to do is, how do you manage them? So you are the orchestra. You stay out of your body and you play this orchestra and you say, I need fear, because if I take out fear, I'll be stupid in the cage and I might not see the danger. So I need 30% of fear, excitement, happiness, sadness, put it lower a little bit. I need all the feelings. And today we realize that, oh, you're jealous. It's not a bad word. I am jealous because I know that there is something there that I want. But if I use it in a bad way and gossip about it, that's when it becomes bad. My actions, my emotions are not bad. The emotions are indications to make you understand yourself better. How you act towards it is what makes you good or bad. And you have to make that decision from your good side and your evil side, which you have, and you have to make a decision having the right communication. That's where you become the right person. So when you play the orchestra with that feeling of yours, and you go into the cage and you stay outside your body and you watch yourself and say, this is the Shahid or the hawk that I want to be fighting, with all the feelings in the proper proportion. Go there and do it, and I'm watching you. And that is when you realize what self-awareness is. And if you can achieve that, which no other thing in life has ever, I think there's only war and combat sports, MMA fighting, that can take your activate all the emotions at one time. Nothing else can activate your all emotions at one time. And if you feel that, you will know what self-awareness is. And if we achieve that self-awareness and understand it, like the greatest philosophers say, not even a tiger's claw can pierce your heart.
Wow. I'm smiling because interesting you mentioned the orchestra, because I'm a violinist in the orchestra. And
amazing.
You can't be more right with how you put those things side by side, because that's the exact way that I feel inside the ring or inside the cage. I have the same feeling when I perform. You have this sort of like self-awareness, that sort of like balancing of emotions, of intellect, of your of everything inside your body, and mastering yourself. Wow, amazing. But I never thought of it that way. I just think that music and sports have a lot of things in common. But you put it perfectly. So thank you for saying that. But
Pleasure.
but then, Sir Shahid, we always see you at present in business suits. Do you ever miss being inside the cage and fighting?
100%. There is no more happiness than being a fighter. You know, you have to make your sacrifices. You have to do what you have to do. You know, for me, I say that it's for the bigger cause. It's to make sure that my personal career or my personal satisfaction is going to be taken away. But I'm going to make sure that there's no other boy who will have a dream to be an athlete, who will be an MMA fighter, and that will never be achieved. It should never happen again. Our children and our grandchildren will grow up and say that my dream is to be an MMA fighter, and we should not be teaching them. Learn how to trash talk or be good at YouTube or be a great social media, Instagram followers, increase it, because that's the only way you can be an athlete or you can be at the top of the fight game. I don't want to say that. I want to be able to be, to tell them that, you want to be an athlete, go train hard. I'll put you in a gym, and there's a system from gym to glory. You become in an amateur team through national tryouts. You can become in the national teams if you win the national tryouts and national team. You perform internationally, win gold medals, and you will be a national hero at amateur, and then transition thanks to the national federation to the league model and make your career from there. And after that, once you compete internationally through the league competitions like Champions League, you will become a global star. But only talent is the variable. So go and work on your talent and yourself from today, from the age of 3 or 4. I don't care. You still work on your talent because that's the only thing that matters. I should be able to say it. So for that, I'm happy that if my happiness is gone for that, I'm okay with that, because another 100,000s will be happy on my behalf, But definitely I miss fighting because, like I said, I learned everything from fighting. I learned my philosophy, team management, man management, dealing with pressure, dealing with the problems. Everything I've learned through fighting, through mixed martial art. So I miss being in that environment because that's the environment I'm the most comfortable with. And I'm only comfortable there because I was taught from the beginning that your world, to be better, you should live in the uncomfortable zone. And that's where your home should be, in the uncomfortable area. And the uncomfortable became my comfort, and that's what was my past 11 years for 11 years while I was fighting. I lived uncomfortably. My pillow was the Muay Thai pads. My bed was the tatami mats, and that's where my life was. And if I want to put my leg on top of something just to get my relax, I would put it on the punching bag, and that's where my life was. And my kitchen, my house, my school, and my training place was all my gym. And that's where I come from. So today when I go back there, I see the uncomfort and I feel comfortable there, but I miss that. I miss that a lot. Today, we do have a good lifestyle and a good, and I don't feel comfortable sleeping on a good king size bed. It doesn't make me comfortable, because it's too comfortable. So that's my uncomfortable situation. So it's a little confusing, but that's where I am.
I think as a fighter, it's something that you need to at least once experience, sleeping with a Muay Thai pad as your pillow.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Thank you, sir. Brian?
Well, I just like this. I never saw an official statement that you retired. Are you open to fighting again? You're still young. I mean, you're still young.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've had because when I like I said, from fighting, I learned that when you do something, go all the way. If you don't want to be a champion, don't even try to fight. My goal when I was fighting was to be the best. So when I was fighting at welterweight division, and I used to tell my students, because I used to teach in the gym as well. So I used to tell my students who says, I want to be a fighter. I ask them, I'll ask you a question. What weight class do you want to fight? They're like, I want to fight at bantamweight, featherweight. How many kgs of weight does the best bantamweight fighters cut during their fight week? I need to know all the details. You need to be obsessed. I know how much weight is the champion cutting. I will know how much weight is top 10 fighters cutting. I need to know that by the time I reach there, who are the next top 10 guys that's going to be up and coming, who's going to be my competitions there. I know his reach from one middle finger to the other middle finger is 74 inches to 73 inches, and that's the tallest reach an athlete has at my weight class. I know the heights that's average that they have at my weight class. I know A to Z about my weight class people because I want to be a champion and I want to do everything better than what they do. And that's the mentality you should have. So when I came into this part of the world to create this ecosystem and to create the sports and more into the operation and business side of things, I did the same thing and put 100% obsession into it. So 7 years, 8 years later, I'm looking at myself and I'm like, maybe I put a lot of obsession into the other side that I didn't even bother about my training or my workout. So I don't know how I could even hardly think about fighting at this point, because there's too much 100% effort that was put into the non-fighting side and the management side of things, that it'll take me some time to even think about being able to fight. But yeah, but at the end of the day, the heart is a fighter. So if there is somebody putting on a gloves in front of me, I would be happy to get on a sparring session. You know, you're never going to shy away from that.
That's okay. Anyway, um, there's here. Well, you might want to take note of this. There are some names being mentioned by MJ, Marlon, Jeff, General Francisco, Fritz Biagtan, and Montilla Jr. Some of the local fighters who he says are worthy of a spot.
Are worthy of a spot. 100%. We are definitely looking into these athletes, you know. So it is crucial for us to make sure that one is how good they are at the national level, and two is to be able to compete. And you have to test yourself, because we know and we believe some of the athletes at their how good they are, but then we let them go and compete internationally, and we see if they are at that level. And I'm not talking about the talent, because the talent do exist, but the idea of traveling, of competing at the highest level at the global stage might affect a lot of people, you know, and that's been a case of some people when pressure hits them, or the globalization hits them, or traveling to international events and competing in somebody else's home country affects them. So these things are a factor outside of just the talent. So you have to see the complete performance, and the only way to know that is to fight, you know. So that's why we call it scouting, because we're not saying that they are the best. We're scouting the talents, and when we make them compete at Brave, we will really find out if they are at that level and they are ready to, is that a complete fighter mentally and physically, you know. So talent wise, I'm sure that there is a lot of talent. So I think some of these names that you mentioned as well are guys that already we are having an eye on to look at and make sure that these are guys that we want to see how they're performing and seeing what their opportunities are. But yes, we definitely have an idea of how we're going to line this competitions up. With Bahrain's event starting up, it's going to be a non-stop events all the way throughout the end of the year. So, you know, it's going to be exciting for us to make sure that all the guys, they have to stay ready, you know, because sometimes you get lucky and get a short notice call, and that's, you can't go back and say that, oh, you know what, it's a short notice, I'm not ready. You know, you can't make excuses when you know, as they say that success is when preparation meets opportunity, you know. So you have to stay prepared, and when the opportunity comes, you have to be able to take it regardless, you know, and that's when you will be able to be successful. Like that kid in Kazakhstan, he took the short notice fight and he made what he could out of it, and now here he is. He's the top 10 ranking, and he's got a long-term 5-year contract with us. So it's going to be that's something that everybody has to stay ready for.
So that's it for me. Rica, do you still have questions before we let Sir Shahid go?
Yeah, maybe one final question, because
Right.
Sir Shahid has taught us a lot, and listening to his story, he's done a lot for the sport, he's done a lot for his country. How do you do all of these? What kind of, where do you get the energy? Where do you get how do you keep yourself healthy? How do you keep yourself mentally fit and mentally ready to take on any challenge?
Yeah, basically for me, it's I always say that enjoy the game, enjoy this idea of you know, when you it is important what your principles are, and that is crucial. If you lose your principle, then there's nothing more in life that you I can't help you, I can't save you, you know. So if you want money in your life, you say I want to be a millionaire, and that's what your objectives are, good for you. You know what you want, go for it. But I can't save you in your life when you say that I'm sad, you know, I'm depressed, or I have this problem or that problem. I cannot save you from that. So principles are crucial for you. For me, I always feel like the day you can enjoy giving people, changing people's life and making changes, positive changes in the world, if that is your goal, everything is easy. So for me, when I do Brave Combat Federation, I have no pressure in this company called Brave, because that's one of my easiest company amongst all the businesses that we do. I think Brave is the easiest because we're doing the right thing. So you're doing something that's going to change the world. So for me, my result at the end of the day is not the balance sheet is green or red. my most important thing the end of the year is to make sure how much changes we created. Are we getting closer to creating bigger changes? Are we getting closer to creating a new era for mixed martial art and giving this opportunity to the athletes? So it makes me feel better. So every day that we work, we are mentally feeling good and physically feeling good. Believe me, you'll have a better life because you're always doing the right thing and you're fighting. And if that becomes your business, to do the right thing, to change people's life, I swear it's just much more easier. And that's the mentality I try to put into people working with me in my company as well, that everybody that's working with us, where they're working, and I say that I don't care about your CVs. I don't care what's your experience. Take that all and throw it out of the window, because all I care about is, do you believe in creating a legacy? Is that important for you? If that is, and if that's what you want to work for, you will work 24 hours a day. You will work sleepless nights. You might do anything that is necessary because you know what you're fighting for. You're fighting for a cause. And this is what this is what KHK is all about. This is what Brave is all about. His Highness Sheikh Khalid, what he has done for sports community, what he has done, not done, and still doing today for sports community, for MMA community, for athletes, thousands of athletes around the world. It's unbelievable that I'm blessed to be able to work with a man like him, because this is the perfect blend for me, because every day we go, we sit and we discuss. Although he's son of the king of the country, he has so much positions, but still you will see him when the fighters are fighting with a bucket and ice behind them at amateur level. You will see him not able to travel at COVID times and see fighters fighting in Australia or any country and live on the mobile, to watching the fight and cornering them and telling them what to do, and between the breaks going and motivating them. How does he find the time? And the moment I think about that, with his position, his ranks, I say that my life is easy, if he can do it, I can do it. And that's where we get all our motivation from. It's the true leadership, and to be a leader, to lead, and how he leads us. I try to lead my team the same way. And that's the most important thing. You are big. Yourself is not for you anymore. You're doing something for the rest of the world, and that feeling makes you stand up at a higher level and become a leader at the higher level. So it is a day-to-day thing that makes me wake up and think. And I'm like, wake up. If you're tired, if you're sleepy, if you feel a little bit low today, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares about you. It's about the leadership. There's people waiting for you. The people that's developing because of you, and an industry that's having the dreams of children that are not even born yet in the world, that relies on what you do, So be a leader, be strong, and wake up and do your job, And I don't give myself any excuse. I become a little bit tough on myself on that.
Wow. Amazing. Actually, aside from Brave's amazing scouting abilities, it's actually how you went out there and tried to break the hegemony of other organizations, especially the Western organizations with Western values of being individualistic, and you try to turn that around by bringing in Asian values, other values that are more important, especially being somebody more than yourself, like what you said. That's an amazing thing that I take away from this interview, and so many more actually from you, Sir Shahid. So that's it for me. Thank you very much. I've learned a lot, especially someone like me who after fighting want to transition to a more of a leadership role. This is like a masterclass for me, Derek. So thank you for the knowledge that you have imparted for all of us.
No, pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, before I give Sir Shahid his last words, can we get a picture? Good picture first.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
All right. Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, got it. Okay, Sir Shahid, before we let you go, I'd like to give you the floor if you have final words. Maybe invite them to this to Brave CF57 this coming March.
Oh, 100%. I really, first of all, I really want to thank all the mixed martial fans in Philippines for always being there for Brave, supporting Brave, the media platforms like yourselves to be able to take up this idea of what Brave is doing. They've always been behind us, from fighters to MMA fans to media. They've always been behind us. And we try to share our vision to the Philippines MMA fans, because we have a bigger job to achieve and we cannot achieve that alone. We need to do it together. Brave 57, 100% is going to be one of the biggest events in Asia for this year, 2022. So everybody can tune it up on Brave TV. We are happy if anybody would fly to Bahrain. We are consider this as your home. Would love to have you here in Bahrain. We have a huge Philippines community here in Bahrain as well. And we always put on a show for them when we have an event here with the Philippines fighters being here. When Loman fought here, it was amazing experience for all the Philippines community. So we've always had love, relationship, and we wish to continue that. And please keep following Brave Combat Federation, because we have some big news this year, and we are going to be looking for that big next champion from Philippines to come on board, fight in Brave, and showcase and carry the flag of Philippines internationally against the best fighters, and show what you have and what talent you have, represent your country. So the opportunity is coming in 2022, and we look forward to it, and we look forward to collaborating with the Philippines, and hopefully come back to Philippines with the Brave event very soon.
And hopefully we can finally talk face to face.
Yes, looking forward to that 100%. Be my pleasure, my pleasure.
Yeah. Okay, Rica, your final words, because Rica is the one who's been more doing these shows lately, because I've been busy with a lot of things. Rica?
Yeah, so it's so great to have you, Sir Shahid. There's so much knowledge that you've imparted to us. Not only about the sport, but actually I've learned a lot about how to actually put all these events together and how to create an ecosystem, as you call it. And I hope our viewers learned a lot from this interview. And wow, what a great night! Thank you, sir, for being with us. And hope to have you again in the future.
Yes, definitely.
Looking forward to it. It'll be exciting.
Actually, like Mo Fakhruddin, I mean, we loved him when we talked.
Yeah,
to him.
and Amin, right?
Yeah,
Amin Ayub. Yeah.
Those were
Amazing.
very good interviews. So at least now we're talking to the big boss.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for all your support, always.
All right. On that note, thank you, everybody. Good night, and we hope you enjoyed our time. And please catch us again. Also follow Rica with his Baby Dynamite Sports. She's been doing more of the shows than me.
Thank you, Baby
And of
Dynamite
course,
Sports.
Stay tuned for Brave. I feel this coming event will be really a big one. Right?
Yes, definitely.
All right. So stay safe, everybody, and good night.